me and Bob Dub was talking about the feminine aspect and the masculine aspect, and we just finished up on the second part of it. And she wanted to start talking about the ancient gods and the female aspects versus the masculine. And we started talking about Dharma with Buddhism and Hinduism. And she's really well versed in Buddhism, and in the episode she started explaining it all, and I pointed it out after she was done, that the majority of the stuff that she was talking about was the masculine aspects of it, and when it comes down to the feminine aspect, it's basically virtue and purification. You know what I mean? Those are the only two things that are important when it comes to the feminine aspects of these religions. And when you go farther back, even in Zoroastrianism, Zoroastrians, their writing is all written in the feminine aspects of writing. But then there was a change during some time period where they went from feminine to masculine, and it became duty, and this is the role that you play as a woman, and this is the role that you play as a man, and things like that. And it all rotated around the sun worshiping, and worshiping the moon. I thought all that was pretty interesting. So,
well, when you see the eyes of Horus, one represents the sun, one represents the moon. And then you go further into Egyptian culture as such, and that they seem like they're fascinated with the afterlife. They're not, and when you get deeper and deeper into that, they're not fascinated with the afterlife at all. They're telling you the afterlife is reality, and what they were fascinated with was this, what we call reality or consciousness. Mm-hmm. The sun and the moon, the male and the female, matriarchal and patriarchal, it's the two different hemispheres of the brain. One of the hemispheres, the left hemisphere, controls the right hand side of the body, and the right hemisphere controls the left hand side of the body. This is why you'll find left-handed people are normally far more creative and spiritual than right-handed people, because they're dealing more with the right hand side of their brain, which controls the left, than anything else. It's directly in between is the pineal gland, and this is supposed to be the seat of consciousness, the link between us and our real authentic self. So that's where we receive a signal. Apparently that's where we receive a signal, and then we perceive reality as this signal tells us to perceive it. So I've had loads of conversations with people that have said, so you're telling me that reality isn't real, it's just each individual perception. Well, how comes I can see you, you can see me? What this signal does, and Nikola Tesla stumbled across this signal. He said he knows it's there, he doesn't know where it's coming from though. This signal is an agreement, if you like, from a global consciousness down into our individual stream. So I see that lamppost in front of us, you see that lamppost in front of us, and everybody sees, because that's what the global consciousness tells us is there. But when we come into our own private life, we retreat, we start producing our own reality. And this goes back with the double slit experiment. And I mean, the Egyptians knew all this. This was the really strange thing. They knew this at 1500 BC through the use of certain chemicals. And we're only just coming back and picking this up again and finding out that what they said is actually right.
Have you ever learned anything about yin energy?
No, that's more Chinese, isn't it?
Yeah, yin and yang. They talk about that a lot whenever it comes to the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. You know what I mean? And like they say that whenever you use the left side of your brain, you're more externally focused.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use the right side of your brain, you're more internally focused. You're more concerned with the things that are happening within you. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. That's when you was talking about that. That's what really stuck in my head.
Yeah. It is. Sorry, John. Go on.
I was going to say, you're on about left-handedness and right-handedness. When I was growing up, it was it was taboo if you were left-handed. My dad used to hit my hand with a ruler to try and make me use my right hand, and I wouldn't. And I found out a friend of mine used to go to a Catholic church, and he used to use his left hand, and the nuns used to tap him with a ruler on his hand to try and stop him not using it. So it used to be, back in the 60s, 70s, a big taboo if you were left-handed.
Yeah.
A long time ago, they used to say if you were left-handed, it was a sign of the devil. That's what they used to say. That used to be the old way of thinking. I guess I mentioned that when you mentioned about left and right-handedness.
There is still that taboo with the devil.
Yeah.
There are still particular churches around now that won't let anybody that teaches yoga hire one of their rooms. And the reason being is because at the end of the yoga class, they meditate. So they don't want that, because that's you understanding consciousness. That's you getting in contact with your higher self, as they say.
Yeah.
So they don't like that. They're not interested in that. They want you to believe everything that's in front of your eyes and everything that you can hear. And there's a lot of silly little experiments that can show you that what our senses tell us are not quite right. It's some things amiss. Recently, my wife pulled it up on her phone yesterday. She said, "What colour do you think this dress is?" And it's a woman's dress. I see gold and a grey, light blue grey. She went, "No, it's gold and black." "Oh no, sorry, it's blue and black." So I said, "No, it's not." And I can clearly see it, and she can clearly see it's different colours. Well, that's just a simple explanation of how people's perception has been changed throughout their life. There is no reality, there is only perception. You will see what you've been taught to see. This is why when you have a child brought up by a spiritualist medium, they're far more open-minded than a child brought up by somebody that, no, there's no such thing as a life after death. It's all, that's it, dead, finished, all the lights go out, that's the end of it. That's not the way the answers to the experiment are coming back. It's completely opposite.
I was going to ask you, now I see on social media a lot of people talking about there's going to be a huge awakening coming this year.
Yeah.
There's going to be going into the fifth dimension, which is a mental dimension more than a physical one. It's more like a spiritual dimension more than a physical. It's not like we're going to change for being physically from what we are. I'm just wondering what you believe about that. Do you think that's true, or do you think talking about Codswell?
Well, my research took me to look into the Mayan prophecies. This was just before, about a year and a half before they started saying, "Oh, the world's going to come to an end because the Mayan prophecies dictate it's going to come to an end." And where they got that from is because of the I think it's called the Dresden Codex, where it's a pictorial form of how life is going to evolve. And in the last, I think they call them backtons, there's 4 or 5 different areas, different congregations of time, and where they were in the last time, which finished on December the 21st 2012, and that showed fire coming from the sky and fireballs and earthquakes and tsunamis and absolute devastation. And that's where the media got that the world's going to end December the 21st 2012. So this, when I looked into it, it never said that. It actually said it's going to go back to the original backton for one. I've forgotten all these words now, you'll have to excuse me, it's a long while ago. And the original backton was the revealing of the truth. I can't remember the language now, but the revealing of the truth and the lifting of the veil means apocalypse. That's their word for it. So the apocalypse is going to happen from December the 21st, winter solstice, 2012. Well, it's been a slow build-up ever since then. We're now talking 11 years later, and it's maybe nearly 12 years later, and it's slowly building up into this. My research said that was the return, or they could call it the second coming, of the true faith, the original faith. People think I say true because I don't believe in all the rest of the faiths. People can believe in whatever they want. I don't mind. It's, you know, it doesn't. We're all talking the same language anyway. It's just that the first faith was paganism. So I took that date to be the return of paganism, a love of Mother Earth, a love of whatever Mother Earth gives us, which is, when you look at what's going on, we've got to start recycling more now. We're getting into electricity to run the cars as opposed to fossil fuels, and it goes on and on and on and on. We're getting into that area now. And there was, in Revelations, I think it says, nation will turn against nation. That's exactly what we're doing in the world now. We're all doing this. But it also tells us not to panic, because this is not the end, it's birthing pains. And on that subject, I went to look at the Vatican, and in the gardens around the back of the Vatican, there was this huge brass earth. I'm not even sure if it's still there. This was quite a few years ago that I went there. Huge brass earth. And when you walk round the side of the brass earth, it's a smaller world coming out of a bigger world. This is, and I think that's what it's because it was a strange thing. It sticks out like a sore thumb. There's Egyptian artifacts there, and peacocks and all sorts. But this sticks out right in the centre of the garden. And it's a smaller earth, the new earth being born from the large earth. It's the return of paganism. I'd put money on it.
I think that's the truth too. I believe that the longer things happen, the more people are going to realize that we were basically wrong, you know. And that's the best way to say it. Like, with all these religions that we have now, when you take a look at it, people back in the ancient times when they were freaking into the paganism, yeah, it was brutal, don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
But they had a respect for freaking the earth. They had a respect for nature. They did sacrifices and stuff with animals and everything, but when they did those sacrifices, it was towards their deity, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was just a waste of meat, you know, like people do today. Like, how many people you know can't even finish a meal and they throw it in the trash?
Yeah,
you know? So I believe that. I believe that a lot of people are going to start going back to the way it used to be. It's going to be a big change. I don't know if it's going to be like a big awakening or not, you know, but I know something is going to happen.
Well, this is a year that a lot of people, and I've been seeing, like John said, I've been seeing it on Facebook, it's the awakening's coming, it's going to happen this year, hold on tight, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And I just think, well, let's take it all with a pinch of salt and go back to grassroots as to what we actually know. We are heading that way. We've got to start looking after the earth. There is no one else that's going to take us out of this place and put us somewhere else. We're not just suddenly going to turn up on Mars or Venus. We couldn't live on Venus anyway. Mars is the closest planet to what we can live at, but it's still cold. So no one's going to give us somewhere else to live. We have to start looking after the earth. And that was the big revelation of my research after so many years, and it's still coming back the same way even when I look at the subject now.